Storms across the Mid-South this evening. We've had some of those storms that have produced potential for a tornado or two across northern Mississippi. We've had a couple of supercells that have rolled through. Now, many of these thunderstorms have weakened, though I do want to keep a close eye on them, as many of them still are in a pretty strong environment as well that could potentially produce something stronger. And as I say this, I do see an area of rotation there in Panola County that I want to ask the National Weather Service about. Yep, they're coming with a tornado warning, so we may need to actually remain with weather. I know we just said that, but of course, things change very quickly, so we do apologize. I do apologize to my coworkers here and for the ever-evolving nature of things, but it looks like as this tornado warning comes out, we will likely stay with severe coverage, it popped up real quick. As I was starting to look at it, you see that we've got that little bit of an embedded hook echo right there, and as you switch over to the velocity, that's right where we're seeing some embedded rotation. So the National Weather Service, right as I was about to type and ask them, they've issued that tornado warning. So it's a very narrow tornado warning that has just been issued. And now this does include Oxford. So we're going to stay with this tornado warning until the threat is allowed to expire. So this is now until 10:45 p.m. So we may very well cover up most of the newscast this evening, but we'll just stay on standby. Kevin, if you want to take a seat.
Do you want me to step in and give you a hand?
I'll be all right. I appreciate it. Okay. But thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, though. Of course, we all work as a team, so I do appreciate Kevin McNamara for helping out as I was coming back in after working my shift for the early hours, and then went home, came back as we had severe thunderstorms coming back in. He did a great job helping to bring some coverage while our weather team could not. So a couple of things with this. This is on the southern end. This is the area where we've got the better environment for tornadoes to form. And so we've got that latest area of rotation that has just been issued a new tornado warning. So if you are just joining us and watching from home, as I keep on clicking the wrong thing, here's some tornado safety tips. If you are caught within a tornado warning, you want to seek shelter indoors. If you do not have a sturdy structure to get to, see if you can find one. But staying away from windows and exterior walls is where you want to be if you are under a tornado warning. Of course, whenever a tornado is possible, it can throw debris through exterior walls. So that's why we want to put as many roofs, ceilings, as many layers of brick and mortar and plaster in between you and the outside as possible, as even if it is not strong enough to tear apart walls, it can still throw objects through walls, and that can still be a hazard. Going to the lowest floor of a high rise, if you're in a dormitory around the Ole Miss area, going to the lowest level of that building and seeking shelter in an interior room. Interior stairwells are also a very good sturdy structure to seek shelter in during a tornado warning. So this is an area that does include Oxford, Mississippi, including Ole Miss campus. The area of rotation does have a lowering that is very difficult to see from some of these cameras from the North Mississippi Storm Chaser network. Unfortunately, we don't have a way to get those pulled into our system, but many of these areas, I want to get information there on the forward speed of that storm so that we can track this out for you. We've seen some varying speeds of these storms. This one now at 35 miles per hour. So I'm going to get a very narrow cone here as it will eventually move out of our viewing area. So Burgess, you're sort of the next town within this cone here of where we're seeing that area of rotation pushing through. You're looking around 1016, Aylesville around 1022, Taylor, it'll be your area around 1027, Oxford in the Ole Miss area around 1030, Altus, Mississippi, around 1042. Denmark, Mississippi, around 1047. Eventually to Dogtown, around 1055, and Takapola there, outside of our viewing area, right at 11 o'clock, and that is outside of the warning, and that is after it is set to expire. Excuse me here. Many of these thunderstorms have been pushing east and northeast and southeast and all moving in separate directions. Again, not modeled very well by the weather models this evening, showing this degree of severity for these thunderstorms. Many of these storms, of course, are still non-severe across the Mid-South, so you may hear some rumbles of thunder. If you're not in Panola County and you're not in Lafayette County, you are not under the threat of the severe thunderstorms at the moment, which is good news. But just taking a look back to the north, for any of you who are still watching out of Shelby County or Fayette County, previously under a severe thunderstorm warning, that warning has been allowed to expire early. And we still have a thunderstorm there, but it is a much weaker storm, not quite within that area. We've got some folks here watching from Smyrna, Tennessee, so appreciate you watching from Smyrna, well outside our viewing area, but we appreciate your viewership nonetheless. Keeping an eye on maybe if you have any folks living in the Oxford area, hopefully they are aware of the situation and are staying safe this evening. There is an abundance of lightning within this thunderstorm at the moment, so there is some correlation to a tornadic thunderstorm and the amount of lightning that it produces. So we may be seeing a bit of that indication here with that rotation that still shows up pretty decently. This is just outside of the Sardis town area there, southwest of the southern shores of Sardis Lake. Trying to get some views of some local landmarks around that area here on my phone. But of course, if you live in this area, you probably know it better than I do, but this is just outside of Batesville, so Batesville is not within this severe thunderstorm warning. But it is just right there outside of Sardis here, so there's not a whole lot in this area where we've got this particular severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado. Whew. Been a long day. We've had a lot to cover and a lot to talk about all across the Mid-South. Not the longest day we've done. We're not going to jinx it with invoking a couple months ago. But this area, we do have that's a severe thunderstorm capable. If you are familiar with this area, you may know of an airport, the Panola County Municipal Airport. That's just outside of Batesville there. This is very near that airport. Could be passing through that area fairly closely. So it looks like that's just to the east, just to the west of the circulation. So it'd be right around in here is the Panola County Municipal Airport. That's where we're seeing some of that rotation in that thunderstorm. And I want to get a look and see if there's a local observation site in that area to see if there's any recent reports of the conditions right there in Panola County. So I have to find it there. So it does look like it has that latest there is an observation site, so I'll wait for that to load in here. So again, downstream towards Oxford, you're going to see yet another potential for a tornado to roll into your area there this evening. Looking at the latest information from that observation site, definitely reported thunder at 9:55. Relative humidity was up to 100%. Temperature of 79 degrees there. Winds, not a terribly strong wind there, but it may just be outside of the immediate threat of that rotation. Andrew, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to stand up here for a little bit, give my legs a little bit of motion here. So if you want to take radar full for me, I would appreciate that. Thank you. And you can adjust the box as needed. But here towards the Oxford area, once again, if you are in that area, we want you to seek shelter, staying in the lowest level of your home in a sturdy business if you can. So we've got some of these storms rolling through this evening that have had these cyclic nature of where they were very weak and then they spun up quickly and then they weakened again. I'm going to keep a close eye on this of this storm just in case it does begin to weaken. But I also want to keep an eye on the debris detector for this storm, as we really don't see anything very prominent with this, but right there it does have a little pixel of some potential rotation. Antonia talking about watching us for a long time. So we appreciate you and everyone who is still tuned in with us this evening here. As we've had some pretty strong storms across the Mid-South as they continue to push up here around the area. So that area of rotation is looking like it is weakening a little bit. Time now is around 10:11 at the 10:12 at the moment. And these storms are continuing to push east, still within a decent environment for a tornado to develop. Many of these thunderstorms still pushing through Panola County here. That thunderstorm complex is where we have that severe thunderstorm warning. But we do also have a thunderstorm back towards Phillips County. This is a non-severe thunderstorm at the moment. Helena, West Helena, seeing some rumbles of thunder at the moment, but again, non-severe. This was an area that had a severe thunderstorm warning. They've had a few warnings through the day today, but that is not where we're seeing the tornado threat at the moment. That is now moving south of Sardis Lake into the Highway 278 corridor there between Batesville and Oxford. It could move through the Oxford area, so I still want to be conscientious of Oxford as that storm will move in. We were trying to move on to ABC 24 News at 10 o'clock. I feel as though we may need to get back onto WLMT as we are off air from there with the new tornado warning. We should get back on, so appreciate production getting on that as well. Just let me know when we are on CW30 and I'll reintroduce ourselves. But for now, at least, we're still keeping an eye here on this tornado warning in Panola County and Lafayette County. This is in northern Mississippi, an area that has a severe thunderstorm watch until 2 a.m. So it could be a long haul for us all tonight across this area. Still an abundance of lightning, a decent amount of rotation within that thunderstorm as well. Much of this area has had just that enough energy for those thunderstorms to produce a tornado. We've rejoined on air on CW30 WLMT. I'm once again still meteorologist Kit Thomas here. We did have a new tornado warning issued within the last 10 to 15 minutes. So if you didn't join us on 24, we apologize for not getting back on CW30 quite as quickly, but doing what we can here with what we got. But of course, these storms have been producing some brief rotation that has spun up and spun back down. We've had sort of this cycle between stronger and weaker signatures. Just looking over the last 15 minutes here, right there outside of Sardis, going back around 20 minutes, very, very disorganized storm that then right there around 9:55, the first indication of some rotation, and that has held together right there around Blackjack Road. This is outside of the Panola Municipal Airport, passed near that area recently. I'm trying to get a few more areas of some landmarks. Right there along Highway 278, as you're leaving Panola County, there's the Sardis Lake Christian Camp on the northern side of this warning. I'll indicate that approximately here. That's not really the area that we're looking at the rotation here. Right here at the southern shore of Sardis Lake. It's a little too far as this is moving towards the southeast, but it could encroach on the Oxford area as well very soon. So if you know around the Harrisonville Church area there, that's sort of downstream of that thunderstorm. That's right there in the bend here. I'm looking right here, Harrisonville Church, and a shop called Cedar Bucket right there along 278 just into Lafayette County. That's an area where we could see that tornado possibly pass over, or at least the lowering of the cloud base where we might have, where we might have a wall cloud from that thunderstorm possibly forming. A wall cloud is somewhat of a precursor of a tornado. It's an indication of the moisture getting pulled into the mesocyclone, and as that happens, the condensation of the cloud begins to drop lower and lower in elevation as it's pulling in all of that moisture. And that, of course, that rotation, that pulling inward flow is what leads to a tornado. It's one of the many factors. So I think just given where this is, the next area that I'm going to sort of highlight is between Oxford and Taylor, Mississippi. This is the area that I think this area of rotation will eventually pass through. We could still see that rotation. It could turn north, could turn south, could go either side, but Ole Miss area around 1036 is where this could move through your area, and that would also include the Taylor area. I know Ole Miss, it shows up on those lists, but Taylor does not, but Taylor and Oxford right around that same time, around 1030 to 1040 is when it will be passing through. Getting just a more wide view of this area. Of course, if you are watching from Memphis, I will tell you we are clear for now. Things are really not showing up as quite as intense that direction anymore. Looks like we do have another couple of showers starting to come down in that area too. But whenever we have storms like this, sometimes we still have just lingering energy and just disturbances that can keep sparking off thunderstorms here around this area. So we do appreciate all of you who are still watching with us this evening, even if we've covered up some of your programming here on air throughout the day and throughout any time that we have severe coverage here in this area. So, we've got the potential for some of these storms to still produce lightning, but it's unlikely that they're going to produce any more severe characteristics. The National Weather Service not really indicating much of a threat with that this evening here. Some of these thunderstorms still could, this particular thunderstorm still could produce strong winds as well. Of course, we're looking at the velocity mainly for the rotating winds, but there could still be 50 mile per hour wind gusts within a thunderstorm. Just from the heavy rainfall, it can drop down and burst a gust of winds around that area. So it's a different threat than the tornado threat, but it is still a wind threat. Hail threat doesn't really look quite so prominent. Hail has been pretty small within this thunderstorm. Of course, that tornado warning goes until 10:45 this evening, and the threats for hail is less than penny size, so that's about 3/4 of an inch in diameter. So really not looking at much of a threat for that as well. Some of these storms on the backside over here in Phillips County, looks like it has some small hail within that as well. The Helena, West Helena area here. I wonder if the National Weather Service judges that is strengthening enough for yet another severe thunderstorm warning. As we sort of see that hot pink color in the center, right around in there, that may be an area. Lo and behold, there it is. I'll count the wind for the day of, calling out severe warnings right before they come out. But yeah, new severe thunderstorm warning here from the National Weather Service. I'll get that info on your screen there so you can follow along with me. This is a radar indicated threat of the potential for some strong winds and some hail as well. Let me get that warning information on my screen here. So 1-inch diameter hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds, that is the baseline threat. And that now goes until 11 o'clock. So continuing to extend the time that we will be on air this evening, covering this severe thunderstorm threat for us. So many of these storms have just continued to cycle back up. They've weakened, strengthened, and gone everywhere in between, with some of these storms still being still being a pain in the neck. if I'll be honest, I don't have many kind words to say about them. But so with this area, we were looking earlier at some of the energy within the atmosphere. I want to take a look at that again, just to see where the energy is over the last couple of hours here. We've seen some of these thunderstorms continuing to be looping around the area, and really, that product's been having some trouble, so I've got to fully reload it here, so bear with me for a moment as really doesn't look like it's an accurate portrayal of the energy that we've had. Let me just loop this over the last 6 hours, see if that gets a better, and it may be that it's just, it's still an atmosphere that's recharged. There we go. For whatever reason, the graphic just wasn't representing it properly. So you can see that area just of gray where all of the energy goes away. That's where we have sort of consumed the energy around the Mid-South recently. And the energy has sort of been used up entirely around the area. But we still have some of that energy right here, sort of on this boundary. We'll draw it as a cold front. It's going the other direction here. So that's basically the rain-cooled air dropping down and clearing out the energy and removing the energy from the atmosphere. I want to check with the Storm Prediction Center Outlook here on some of the tools that they have for us meteorologists when we're actually doing forecasting, not necessarily when we're on air, but it is a good tool, just the analysis page that they have that I want to check in on. So let me get that loaded here, and I'll narrate what I'm looking at here. There we go. Just popped up. I want to look at some of the thermodynamics of this storm threat. So we still have a lot of energy within the atmosphere. This is a combination of both energy, the convective energy, and the rotational potential with that storm. It's a composite product. It's looking at multiple factors of the atmosphere, but just teasing apart some of those factors. The low-level environment that could have some rotation definitely still has some of that more significant rotation here. The rotation potential here into central Mississippi. There's much better environment, especially here around towards Columbus and Tupelo, Mississippi. That's where we've got that area of rotation here in northern Mississippi. That Oxford tornado warning still is present there at the moment. So zooming in on that, I don't want to get too far distracted from looking at the parameters of that thunderstorm. But it looks like it's less organized, but of course we know that once we say it's less organized, it starts to ramp right back up, and we still have some good supercell environments, supercell ingredients for this thunderstorm at the moment as well. So it may still recycle and strengthen back up as well. So many of these areas, of course, keeping an eye on our stream, making sure that we're still up on air as well. Many of us still seeing some of that thunderstorms around the area, but it's really just here into Lafayette County right now with the tornado threat. And then moving out of Phillips County into Coahoma County. Extreme southern Tunica County is technically within the warning, though not really under the direct impact of that. And then on into Quitman County, Mississippi as well. We've got that thunderstorm threat up in that direction. Many of these storms are just, like I said, sort of being a pain in the neck, continuing to cycle back up, get stronger, get weaker, get stronger, get weaker. So we may be in for a long night tonight. Looking at the, great, I'll read that message in a moment. Looking at the severe thunderstorm watch here, that's the area shaded in pink. This is for northern Mississippi until 2 a.m. this morning. So the National Weather Service, after looking at some satellite trends on that storm, they're indicating that it is gaining strength once again. As of now, the weak rotation is very broad, but just with the trends from the from the radar, it looks like it, from the satellite trends, it could still cycle back up as that updraft is continuing to re-strengthen within that storm. So just looking a little bit closer here, we'll just keep a close eye on that, on those two storms here. Excuse me. So, of course, that thunderstorm on the back side of it looks a little more jumbled, just some extra convection on the back side of it, but the area of rotation really still quite weak, really not looking all that great. So we'll just have to sit here and wait for it. I don't have much else to provide for you. Helena, West Helena, I see a little area of false rotation, so that's good. Starting to feel like a broken record here this evening, but we do appreciate you all bearing with us and staying tuned as we cover these severe thunderstorms here around the Mid-South. I want to check out the hail on this thunderstorm, as that hail core looks to get a little more broad recently just on the reflectivity, but it may be a factor of the spread of it rather than the intensity of the hail. So the hail might not be quite, it may not be showing up as a growing hail size. Ooh, excuse me, I was trying to fight that off. but more just the production of hail is happening in a more broad sense rather than the hail size is growing very large within that thunderstorm. So I want to take you through the next couple of days here, just so that if you were just tuning in for 10 o'clock and you're going to tune out, I'm going to give you a look at the 7-day forecast that we've got here. Tomorrow, we initially had a weather impact alert day that our station had issued. I have allowed that to be walked back. We really aren't going to see any impacts from severe storms tomorrow through the day. The thing is, we do have a level 1 threat for tomorrow, but there was sort of a misjudgment on the decision to call that a weather impact day, because tomorrow through the day is going to be fine. However, there is a level 4 threat way out to the west tomorrow, and these kinds of products are issued 7 a.m. to 7 a.m. So that level 1 risk across our area, a very isolated chance for severe storms, will be in place for the wee hours of Monday morning. Hopefully we don't have any severe thunderstorms at that time, as we don't have any local staff at the moment, as Chief Meteorologist Trevor Burchett is out of town. We'll hope that we don't have any severe storms on that morning during those early hours. But again, that's going to be after the 7 o'clock time frame, and by midday forward, that's when we could see maybe a recharge of the atmosphere, and those thunderstorms might get a little stronger there by around the afternoon on Monday. So we're going to keep a close eye on it over the next couple of days. Weather impact not in place for tomorrow, but in place for Monday. And then the rest of the week, we start to see those temperatures warming back up into the 89, 90 degree range. We've already had 2 days up to 90 degrees. We had 92 and 90. I forget what days they were. It escapes me. It was earlier this last week. We had those stronger heating during the afternoon hours. Then later on in the week, there's storm chances back in on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Chance of a thunderstorm or two. It is too far out for us to responsibly issue a weather impact alert for those days. So as we get closer, we will make a judgment better, but it is just not reasonable. It's not scientific to really hone in on a major severe weather threat to put that weather impact alert brand on at the moment. Of course, by Wednesday, we'll probably have a better sense of yes or no if that will be necessary. So we've had some changes to our thresholds for those weather impact alert days. So just want to communicate that with you, that you may see a bit of a change of some of the messaging that we present. We've just adjusted some of those thresholds recently. So checking back in on that tornado warning that we've had across Lafayette County. That area there of just some weak rotation still doesn't look organized, still doesn't look like it would reasonably put down a tornado. I want to get a little closer to the Columbus, Mississippi radar site, and we see very broad elevated rotation within that zone. That was sort of where I was pointing out earlier. Right there between Oxford and Taylor is where I was expecting just the trend of that forward motion to bring that rotation, and that does look like it's going to be passing between Oxford and Taylor.